It's budget launch day at City Hall. City staff presenting the recommended 2020 budget at a committee meeting this morning. They say it preserves existing services and includes $67 million in new investments, but some councillors say that's not nearly enough.
This is not a great budget.
We are continuing to manage the budget in a fiscally prudent and responsible way.
This budget utterly lacks an imagination in making the investments that Torontonians know they need.
The budget does preserve all existing city services.
A difference of opinions at City Hall on the $13.5 billion operating budget recommended for 2020. The budget chief applauding his team, while critical councillors say a growing backlog in the city's state of good repair funding is about to make public services a whole lot worse.
If you drive on a city street, you can count on the roads getting worse in future years. If you take public transit, you can count on the transit service getting worse.
But Budget Committee considers $67 million in new investments a big win. That money will fund priority city services like poverty reduction, climate change, safety and security, and transit. City staff balancing the budget by increasing property taxes at the rate of inflation and with a 10-cent TTC fare increase expected to bring in $32 million, but considered a step back in the city's affordability goals.
This 10-cent fare increase equals a lot in their monthly budget.
What do you think about the city's reliance on fares?
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, our fares as a proportion of total costs are higher than any other city that's worth mentioning in the discussion. That said, we know perfectly well that City Council is not going to vote a tax increase to bring in a fare freeze.
So it's a necessary evil.
It's a necessary evil.
A new dedicated city building fund also expected to bring in $5 billion for transit and $6.6 billion for housing. That alone will increase taxes on the average home by $45 annually.
It's an emergency when you're adding.
Climate advocates also attending the meeting this morning. They expected stronger action after City Council declared a climate emergency in the fall.
If we're going to ramp up action, if we're going to see climate change really as the emergency that it is, I think we were looking for, more investment.
Budget Committee will go across the city to hear from the public about the 2020 budget over the next few weeks before it's presented to Council for approval in February.